Hi, Chris Thompson here. So we'll be doing a little run through of the 6th edition rules and also just a little bit of Warhammer rules in general, Warhammer 40k sorry, that is, in general for those people that don't know. If you have a codex, which is one of these, you will have, if you go to the page, let's have a look, so like Chapter Master, he has WS, BS, ST, WI, ALD and SB. So each one of them, I'm basically going to tell you what these abbreviations mean. So here goes. WS. Okay, so WS is the model's weapon skill. So it's basically how good the model is at close combat. So you've got two models next to each other. It's basically, you know, how good they are at melee, basically. So it says here, this characteristic defines the close combat skill a warrior possesses. The higher the characteristic, the more likely the model is to hit an opponent in close combat. An Imperial Guard, a trained human warrior, has weapon skill 3, whilst the battle-hardened Space Marine might have weapon skill 4, weapon skill 5 or possibly even higher. And in the rulebook it gives you an example on the other side of the page, just here, of the little stats, which shows that the Space Marine and an Orc. Well, the Space Marine and the Orc boy both have weapon skill of 4. So they're equal on weapon skill. But if I look at my Chapter Master in my codex, he has a weapon skill of 6. So that the Chapter Master would easily beat the Orc boy in close combat. I suppose you've got to think of it in a way, it's sort of like a game of top trumps in a way, you know, he's better than him, so he's died. Right, BS. BS is ballistic skill, and this shows how accurate a warrior is with ranged weapons of all kinds, from pistols to earth-shaking battle cannons. The higher this characteristic is, the easier a creature finds it is to hit targets with shooting attacks. An Imperial Guard has a ballistic skill of 3, but an Imperial Stormtrooper has a ballistic skill of 4. So again, I'll go back to this little section here with the Space Marine and the Orc, and as you can see, the Orc has only got 2 and the Space Marine has got 4. So the Orc doesn't have a really good ballistic skill compared to the Space Marine. So he's not that good at using guns or, you know, explosive weapons, and some, you know, the Space Marine's a lot better at using guns basically. Next one is S, which is strength. Strength gives a measure of how physically mighty a warrior is. An exceptionally puny character might have a strength of 1, while a Tyranid Carnifex has strength 9. Men have a strength of 3. That's just a normal human being has a strength of 3. But again, with this, the orc boy has got a strength of 3, so his strength is basically the same as a human being. But the Space Marine, who is a genetically modified human being with armour and whatnot, is 4. So he's a lot stronger than an orc boy. T. Toughness. This is a measure of a model's ability to resist physical damage and pain, and it reflects such factors as the resilience of the creature's flesh, hide or skin. The tougher a model is, the better it can withstand an enemy's blows. The gnarled and leathery hide of an orc grants it toughness 4, but an unyielding monster as a Carnifex has an incredible toughness of 6. So if you got one orc versus a big Carnifex, the orc's pretty much got no bloody chance, basically. And the toughness on here, the Space Marine and the orc have got the same toughness, which is 4. Then we've got W, which is wounds. That's how many wounds they can take before they die, basically. And as it says here, this characteristic tells us how much damage a creature can take before it dies, like I just said, or is so badly hurt that it can't fight anymore, which amounts to pretty much the same thing. Most man-sized models have a wound characteristic of 1. Large monsters and mighty heroes are often able to withstand several wounds that would slay a smaller being, and so have wounds 2, 3 or 4 or even more, depending on what it is, Carnifex or whatever, some big monstrous creature. So basically the wounds are how many hits it can take before it dies. And both the Orc Boy and the Space Marine can only take 1 hit. And you also have I, which is initiative. And what initiative is this represents the swiftness of the creature's reactions. Models with a low initiative, orcs with initiative 2, are slow-witted, while models with a high initiative characteristics, gene stealers with initiative 6, react far more quickly. In close combat, initiative dictates the order in which creatures strike. So, in other words, the initiative means they can sort of think on the feet, sort of thing, they can think, and do it, instead of just like, no, we're doing, So, on this little stats thing again, on initiative, the Space Marine has got 4, and the Orc has only got 2. So basically the Space Marine can quickly act, and the Orc's a bit thick, a bit dense, so it takes me a while to sort of react to what it's doing. And the next thing is attacks, which is A. This shows the number of times a model attacks during close combat. Most warriors and creatures have an attack characteristic of 1, although some elite troops and monsters or heroes may be able to strike several times and have attacks of 2, 3 or more. So as you can see on this stats thing again, the Orc has an attack of 2, whereas the Space Marine has only got an attack of 1. Because Orcs are very good in close combat, whereas Space Marines are not as good in close combat as Orcs. You see, they make up for this with the fact that they're not very good with weapons, whereas Space Marines are very good with weapons. Right, so the next one is LD, which is leadership. Leadership reveals how courageous, determined and self-controlled a model is. A creature with a low leadership value is very unruly or cowardly. Elite forces such as Space Marines have leadership 8 or higher, whereas cowardly troops such as Gretchen have a leadership of 5 or less. So again, on the stats we have leadership 8 for the Space Marine and leadership 7 for the Orc. So the Space Marine's better at leadership than the Orc is. More courageous than the Orc. And then last but not least we have SV, which is arm save. A warrior's arm save gives it a chance to avoid harm when it is struck or shot. Most models have an armor save based on what kind of armor they are wearing, so this characteristic may be improved if they are equipped with better armor. Other creatures may receive a natural save from having thick bony plates or chitinous shell. That is such as the Tyranids have like a carapace on the top. Unlike other characteristics, the lower an armor save, the better. So what it actually is, you've got a save of say like 3+, or you've got an armor save of 6+, like shown here on the Orc and the Space Marine. The Space Marine has got a 3+, and the Orc has got a 6+. But the Space Marine one is actually better, because all he has to do is roll, a 3 or more to get his armor save. Whereas the Orc has got to roll 6 to get an armor save. Simple. And there's one thing that I actually missed out, which is modifiers. And what modifiers are is that certain pieces of war gear or special rules will actually add certain things to your Space Marine. So say like you've got strength. The Space Marine strength is a 4, and you've got a piece of war gear, like it says here in the rulebook. It says if you've got there's a piece of war gear that says +1 strength and double strength. So what you do then is you add you double the 4, which becomes an 8, and add the +1 strength, so then his strength has now become 9 due to that piece of war gear or armour that is